Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unlock the secret history behind one of the most famous drawings in the entire world. Okay, so let's dive right in. You've seen this image a million times, right? Leonardo's Vitruvian Man. Most people, they think it's just about ideal human proportions. But that is barely half the story. The real meaning goes so much deeper, and it actually connects this one drawing to an entire ancient worldview. Yeah, the truth is, this isn't just about anatomy, it's about a really powerful, really ancient idea. This concept of mapping the entire universe onto the human body. Leonardo's drawing is actually the endpoint, the culmination of a tradition that's thousands of years old. An idea that shaped, well, everything, from how doctors practiced medicine to how architects designed buildings. It was kind of like the operating system for understanding reality back then. So to really get what Leonardo was doing, we've got to take a step back. Way back. We need to wrap our heads around this core concept that just fascinated the ancient and medieval world. The idea that the human body wasn't just, a body. It was a map, a literal map of everything. And look, this wasn't just some poetic metaphor. For them, this was a fundamental principle of how reality worked. It's the idea of the microcosm and the macrocosm. The human body is the microcosm, a little world that perfectly mirrors the macrocosm, which is the great big universe. The thinking was, literally, everything out there is also in here. Now, here's where it gets really, really interesting. This single big idea, it actually split into two powerful and pretty distinct traditions that ran in parallel for centuries. You had the astral man, where the body is a passive map, just reflecting what the cosmos is doing. And then you had the canonic man, where the body is an active map, a ruler for creating order in the world. Let's dig into that first one, the astral man. Okay, so let's talk about living by the stars. This whole astral man tradition, it's all built on this incredibly powerful idea that our bodies are directly, physically connected to the rhythms of the heavens, the sun, the moon, the planets. And for hundreds of years, this was not some abstract philosophy. No, this was a deeply practical belief that literally shaped people's everyday lives. So how did this play out? Well, the most common example by far was the Zodiac man. You would find this guy everywhere, in calendars, in medical textbooks all across Europe. And it's so important to get this. It wasn't just a cool drawing. It was a medical instrument. A doctor would literally look at this chart and say, okay, the moon is in Taurus right now, which rules the neck. So no way are we doing surgery on the throat today. It was that practical. And it just shows you how deeply this idea of a cosmic map was woven into the fabric of daily life. All right, so that's the body as a passive mirror of the heavens. But now let's switch gears and look at that other tradition, the canonic man. This is a totally different way of thinking. Here, the body isn't just reflecting the universe, it's actually providing the rules to create order right here on Earth. It's an active blueprint for building our world. And the philosophical core of this whole idea, it comes from the ancient Greek philosopher Protagoras, who famously said, "Man is the measure of all things." What he meant was that the human form itself, it holds the secret code, the key to perfect harmony and proportion for everything else. And this is the absolute key takeaway here. The idea was that the proportions of a so-called perfect human body could be used as a blueprint to design a perfect building. It's like the human form was the source code for harmony. So when you built a temple, for instance, you weren't just trying to make it look nice. You were trying to create a sacred vessel, a structure that was geometrically in tune with divine, cosmic order. So for centuries, you have these two big ideas, the astral man and the canonic man, just kind of existing side by side. Then the Renaissance happens, and everything changes. Artists like Leonardo, Dürer, and Michelangelo, they stopped just illustrating these old ideas. They started testing them. They started experimenting. They basically turned the human body into a full-blown research project. And what's so cool is that they were all asking the same big questions, but they came up with totally different answers. Take Leonardo. For him, the puzzle was geometric. How do you fit a man in a circle and a square? He solved it by giving his man two different centers of gravity, the navel for the cosmic circle, the crotch for the earthly square. The result? A man in dynamic motion. But then you have someone like Albrecht Dürer. He took a completely different path. He just started cataloging the insane variety of human body types. And his conclusion was, hey, maybe perfection isn't one single ideal. Maybe it's the sum of all the possible varieties. And then there's Michelangelo, who basically threw the geometric rulebook out the window. For him, the most important thing wasn't static proportions, but capturing the living energy, the tension, the gesture of the body. So you might be wondering, what happened to this huge, grand idea? Did modern science just come along and kill it off? Well, not exactly. It didn't disappear. It transformed. And that transformation really kicks into high gear in one specific pivotal year, 1543. It's wild, but in that single year, two books get published that completely rock the foundations of, well, everything. You have Vesalius, who publishes this incredible work on human anatomy, turning our gaze inward to the body's internal structure with unbelievable detail. And in the very same year, Copernicus publishes his work on the solar system, remapping the cosmos itself and turning our gaze outward. The microcosm and the macrocosm were both remapped at the exact same time. So as science and anatomy started revealing the body's inner workings, the old analogy didn't just vanish, it moved. It went from being about the stars to being about structure. The body was no longer seen as just a map of the heavens, it became a piece of architecture in its own right, a fabric, as Vesalius called it, of bones, muscles, and sinews. The whole grand analogy basically moved from the stars outside to the incredible structure within us. So the next time you see Leonardo's Vitruvian Man, I hope you'll see something more than just a famous drawing. You'll see the story of this timeless, deeply human impulse to find our own place in the universe, and to find the universe within ourselves. And it leaves us with a pretty big question for today, right? In our world of algorithms and big data, how do we, now, still use the human body as the ultimate measure of our world?